What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Go Talk Marcus, powered by PodDecks, fueled by Go Fuel. Once again, joining me on the show, the G to the U to the R to the U. What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, you already know, living the dream. Once again, gratitude. I appreciate you as always having me, man. Even though a bunch of your audience hate me, but I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks to your pops, the only one that really rocks with me. You know what I mean?
He does. My dad loves you. Had to get a washcloth because last time I was on the show with Guru, he had me sweating up a storm and yelling, and I got notes on a notepad, one of the preacher pads. So I'm ready to rock and roll. I know Guru's ready to rock and roll. Let's jump right into it. The Minnesota Vikings went into Buffalo this past Sunday and got the job done in overtime, 33-30. And what I think a lot of people are considering the game of the no. Before we jump into that, real quick, I want to send my thoughts and my prayers to the families affected by the shooting at the University of Virginia this past weekend. It was a very unfortunate situation. I'm blanking on the names of everyone that was affected right now. I have a couple friends down there, and I know it's a very tough and a very crazy thing to kind of experience. You go to UVA, you want to enjoy your college experience and get a good education. So thoughts and prayers down there to all the families affected, to the victims, and then obviously to all the students and all that stuff down there as well. Because of that tragedy, and also to the families at the University of Idaho that experienced the exact same thing. A lot of craziness going on in the world. I did want to start the show off with that, and it almost slipped my mind. But the Minnesota Vikings going to Buffalo this past Sunday to get the job done, 33-30 in overtime. What I think a lot of people are considering the game of the year. Justin Jefferson had the catch of his life in that ball game. Played incredible football, as did Kirk Cousins. Are the Minnesota Vikings a force to be reckoned with in the NFL this season?
Oh, man. You see, obviously, the records don't lie. I'm not going to sit here and don't act like the Minnesota Vikings, what they've been doing, it shows it. The record, what they were, 9-1, 8-1, I forgot the exact record.
9-1.
Yeah, 9-1, and winning close games, winning road games, winning home games. I mean, they're winning everywhere, winning in domes, winning in bad weather. So they figuring out how to win games. Yes, obviously, if you know my content, you know me pretty well, Marcus. And do I have 100% belief? If there's a gun in my head, would I say the Minnesota Vikings? Look, they got Google to save your family. Who you got to put your life on? Is it going to be on the Minnesota Vikings? And the answer to me is no. You know what I mean? It's just, I can't explain it. And you guys know me, I'm a film guy. I'm just a film guy. I don't care about the numbers, the game, or any of that stuff, man. I'm anti-analytics. A lot of y'all are analytic, especially who I'm talking to. He's Mr. Analytic. I am anti-analytics. And from the film work, looking at the Minnesota, man, I don't think they could sustain living on the edge like that. You ever seen one of those people, I'm like that they walk the tight ropes, walking or climbing the bridge, or one of those extreme sports guys. You're like, yeah, look at this highlight. Look what they could do. Oh my God, look, he went across, he jumped over a bridge, he jumped over a moving car, blah, blah, blah. But then you look at it like, how much longer could he keep that up? You know what I'm saying? Yes, you fooled me this week. Yes, I paid, and you survived this week again. You survived this week again. But in a playoff scenario, are they willing? Are they going to be able to come back and do stuff like this? Is the Buffalo Bills going to be? Are they going to make the same stupid mistake by fumbling the ball in the 1 yard line? Is a situation like that going to happen? Is Josh Allen going to throw a pick when you're already in field goal range to tie the game up? Is the Washington Commanders? I mean, it's just a lot of situation that I don't feel comfortable with the Vikings. I do feel comfortable with their record, but as far as you saying or I'm saying this is the best team in football, I would not agree with that. I think other teams, I have more faith on the Miami Dolphins per se than I have more faith on the Baltimore Ravens. I have more faith in those type of teams than I do on the Minnesota Vikings for basically the reasons I just said.
As a Packers fan, it pains me to say this. I don't think the Vikings are the best team in football. I do think the Vikings are a team that we need to look at as potentially going all the way. I think when you look at how the NFC is constructed, obviously you have the Eagles who just suffered their first loss to the Commanders this past week on Monday Night Football, and it was a really bad game for them. It's the worst game they played all season, the result in their first loss of the season. Obviously, look at the Dallas Cowboys, what they're doing. You have to look at the Buccaneers, despite having a shaky start to the season. Tom Brady has gotten it together, and the Bucs seem to be getting hot right when they need to, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But the Vikings, I would say, are right there in the thick of things in the NFC. Here's what I won't say. What I won't say is all this love that Kirk Cousins is getting, I don't understand it. And it's not because Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback, but when you are a quarterback that gets paid what Kirk Cousins has gotten paid by the Vikings, this is what they've been waiting for. The Vikings have been waiting for this kind of start from Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense since he's been there. It's like applauding a fish for swimming or applauding a dog for barking. This is what the Vikings with Kirk Cousins are supposed to look like this. When you have Justin Jefferson, when you have Dalvin Cook, when you have the talent that they have on this roster, even before they got jealous, when they had Stephon Diggs, they had Adam Thielen, they had talent on this roster, and they just couldn't survive. They could not survive the stench of mediocrity that surrounded this football team. Now, as a Packers fan, it does pain me that I have to sit here and witness the Vikings rise to such greatness while my team is falling to such depression. It pains me. But Kirk Cousins is finally playing the football that the Vikings expected him to play when they signed him on initially when he left the Washington Commanders. Shout out to him for finally showing up to the occasion. But as great as the Vikings look, I am not ready to give Kirk Cousins all this love, all this praise, and all this adulation, because that would be like applauding a fish for swimming, because he should have been doing this when he first got there. It's better late than never. Better late than never. But
I'm a big Kirk guy. I'm a cousin guy. That's my favorite cousin. Always been my cousin, since the DC area, since the formerly team known as the Washington, what I call them right now until we get it sold, I call them the Washington Snyders. That's what I'm going to refer to them as, the Washington Snyders, till we're sold to another ownership. But since he was a quarterback of the Washington Snyders, man, I've always loved Kirk. There's just something about this guy. But let me tell you one thing, because one thing about Kirk Cousins is he's never had anyone to believe in him. Like we talked about pre-show right here, man, we talk about your father, I'm saying, obviously your father believed in you. And that's why you are who you are. But if you have somebody that don't believe in you, you're not going to perform to your optimized self. You know what I'm saying? Your optimal self. So as for Kirk Cousins, we all know in D.C. they didn't believe in him. I mean, obviously, Bruce Allen calling him the famous rant he had, calling him Kirk's cousin, and basically calling him out of his name. And then he also went to the Minnesota Vikings, and we know Mr. Zimmer was not really sold on him. So there was a lot of situation. I think that's why Kirk Cousins was never maximized to potential. I believe for the first time since college, since he was in Michigan State, you know what I'm saying? Since when he came out the womb, the way his mother loved him, the way his wife loved him. Now Kirk Cousins is finally loved by his new coach. What's his name? Make something. Everybody's name is Mac something. I can't think what his name right now. But he obviously loved Kirk Cousins. When he came as the head coach, he showed the love and appreciation for Kirk Cousins. And you could see that. I see a different type of Kirk Cousins. He's not the comical Kirk Cousins. He could tell now he has some that believe in him. He has the belief of the head coach, the belief of the organization. And I think that's the reason why we've seen the maximization of Kirk Cousins' potential. And that's why he's earning the keep. So I won't necessarily blame everything, or he's just earning his money now. I just feel like now the house finally all believe in Kirk Cousins. And in any human beings, when you have people believe in you, you always achieve more than you're capable of. And I think that's what we're seeing with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins has the third highest cap hit of any quarterback in the NFL right now. He's getting paid. His cap hit is.
Oh my! Why you want about my man pockets?
His cap hit is $31.5 million. His cap hit is higher than Aaron Rodgers, the back leg.
Why are we counting my man's pocket?
Lamar Jackson.
DMV, man, we never counted another man's pocket.
His cap is higher than Josh Allen. His cap is higher than Tom Brady. His cap is higher than Joe Burrow. His cap is higher than most quarterbacks that are better than him in the NFL today, and he's just now getting to a point where he's
looking like my man's pocket. Is it his fault?
And I shouldn't be counting his pocket. But here's the deal. I am not going to applaud Kirk Cousins for doing what he should have been doing this whole time. I am not going to applaud this fish for swimming. Kirk Cousins is supposed to do.
So you're mad because some GM, some owner signed his check. So you're upset at him because the owner paid him for
what I'm saying is the same way that's how we measure greatness. If you're getting paid as one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League, you need to play like one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League. Until season, Kirk hasn't been doing that.
So Aaron Rodgers was always
finally gotten there, but I don't care. I don't care. It's taking him too long to get here. It's nice that he's finally gotten here. The Vikings, I think, are legit. Kirk played one bad game, and that one bad game was against the Eagles, and they are one of the best teams in football.
And hold up, before I think that was a Monday night game. We know Kirk can't play Monday night. So
also can't play in prime time. So it was a bad game in prime time. Jesus. Which is much ado about nothing with Kirk Cousins. Look, shout out to Kirk Cousins. Happy for the Vikings. Nice to see they're 9-1. They're finally a good football team with a chance to win something other than the division title. Good for them. I'm not giving Kirk Cousins love for playing up to what he should have been playing up to the last 4 years and 3 extensions he's been in Minnesota. I'm just not doing it. You can do it. You can do it all you want. I'm not applauding this fish for swimming. I'm just not going to do it.
Well, if the fishes finally have, you know what I'm saying, he has food around him and he has a family around him, and all of a sudden the fish become a better swimmer, yeah, I'm going to applaud that damn fish.
I'm not applauding this fish. Now, let's talk about another team that could potentially get hot. That is the San Francisco 49ers. We saw them at the trade deadline. They traded for Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, now that means they added him to a team that was already loaded with Deebo Samuel and one of the best O-lines in football, one of the best defenses in football when they're healthy, and, of course, George Kittle, who's been pretty healthy this season. So far, the Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken, are still at the top of the NFC West because of the start that they had to the season. But when you look at the Niners' schedule, it's hard to find a reason to think that they can't win this division come season's end. Is the NFC West the 49ers division to lose?
I mean, they've always been the 49ers division. I believe coming into the preseason now, I believe when we talked, they were my favorite to win the division. So I don't think anything have changed. Obviously, we know this game long now. It's a long season, you know. Like the first six weeks or first month of the season, I mean, I don't really take it seriously, to be honest with you. It's still kind of the extension of the preseason. So the 49ers obviously are in win mode and win now mode. Obviously, with the trade deadline move and all their players getting healthy and obviously Kyle Shanahan. You know, one thing about us male, you know, just like yourself, we are egos. It's just talking about an ego thing, especially when you have a brother-friend relationship. You know, the same thing I'm talking about Kyle Shanahan and McVay. You know, obviously Kyle Shanahan felt like he was big brother. So when McVay went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl last year, we knew, because I'm a big brother. When I see my little brother, and it's a friendly family thing, when I see his ass ball out, I'm going to be like, hold on, especially through me, and it has to go through me to win a championship. Oh, my God, I'm going to be like, let's run it back. Let's run this mother effer back because I'm coming strong. So I knew coming to this season, because of the success of the Los Angeles Rams, I mean, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan was going to do everything in a possible mindset, because he never want to have, because we know the relationship he has with McVay. They go out on vacations together. And one thing, just like me and you never want to get up on one person. We knew he wanted to get, they both wanted to get Matthew Stafford. Obviously, McVay ended up getting him. So right now, it's just bigger with the ego of those guys. I think the 49ers knew coming into this season, if they didn't go to the Super Bowl, I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions. And tell you, they got everything on that team, man. I love the defense. I think that's one of the strongest part, the D-line unit. The linebacker unit is unbelievable. The secondary, obviously, the safeties. I love the safety. I love Trodarius Ward. I mean, I could name the whole damn team. You know, I love the offensive line getting healthy. I'm a little bit suspect as far as their right guard. Every time I watch them play, it seems like the right guard be always getting his ass kicked. But other than that, man, I'm just me picking. I just me watching films and being a little scrutinizing. But at the end of the day, man, I love the McCaffrey versatility, that addition. Right now, man, if the 49ers don't go to the Super Bowl, if they don't go to the Super Bowl with the way the NFC is, entire NFC is right now, I think that's a failure for Kyle Shanahan as a coach. And it would be a failure for John Lynch as a GM, because this is right now, honestly, I don't care about the records. On film, they are the best team in the NFC. I know the Vikings we just talked about. I know the Eagles. But at the end of the day, I think collectively and versatility and what they bring to the game, I think the 49ers are the best team as far as the NFC goes. And I had them as the best team in the preseason as the NFC goes anyway. So
the 49ers are always a sneaky team, because for a long time it was like, because of how great their defense is. And we know how in the playoffs, no matter what, rain, sleet, snow, or whatever, defense travels. right? But they had a running game by committee that made it dangerous. But now you've got this guy named Christian McCaffrey who you don't need to have. Like, you couldn't do committee as far as just to protect him and preserve his, I guess, extend his prime and preserve his health if you want to, throw in Elijah Mitchell every now and then to take the load off of CMC. But for the most part, you don't have to do that. I like that they are doing that and not running him into the ground the way that Carolina was running him to the ground, because he is a phenomenal player, and when he's on the field, he makes things happen. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be in the NFC Championship game this season at the least. Whether they're hosting Minnesota or going to Philly or whatever the case may be, they're going to be like, it is hard to find a team in the NFC right now that has an answer for Christian McCaffrey and Debo and George Kittle and the defense. This doesn't exist. And that's been the case for the 49ers since they've been on this run these last 4 years with Jimmy G as the quarterback, right? They go to the NFC Championship game or they go to the Super Bowl that first year, I think it was. They missed the playoffs because that was the COVID year. A lot of things happened last year. They're right back in the NFC Championship. It's like every time this team is healthy, they are at least in the NFC Championship game. That is going to happen again this season. It's very hard to think of a scenario where that can't happen. They can beat Philly. We saw Philly get pounded on the run game this past week against the Commanders. Christian, if Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson and those boys in Washington can do it, you can best believe that Christian McCaffrey can do it as well, right? The D-line is ferocious. They can stop the run. The secondary is nothing to sneeze at. They can hold their own against, your Dallas Goederts and your Devontae Smiths and the A.J. Browns. I love what the 49ers bring to the table, and this is a team, doesn't matter whether it's on the road or at home, this is a football team that you can never write off. And I know everyone wants to point to Jimmy G and say how he's not a good quarterback and how he's not this and how he's not that. I don't care. Jimmy G is a winner. Jimmy G has done nothing but win games for this football team, and it is going to be very interesting to see the path that the 49ers take after this season, because this is Jimmy's last year. This is Jimmy last year, and if you guys remember the timeline, right, they told Jimmy, look, this is Trey Lance's team now. Stay away. Trey Lance ended up getting hurt. Now Jimmy's back out of necessity. If the 49ers do end up going to the Super Bowl, I know there's a lot of people in the front office that still want Trey Lance to come back, but I feel like you do have to look at Jimmy and say, would we have been there if Trey Lance was healthy this season? Would we have been in this position if Trey Lance is healthy this season? Would we have made it to the NFC Championship game potentially? Would we have made it to potentially won a Super Bowl this season if Trey Lance is quarterback? I think that's something that you have to look at. I understand because of all that you traded for Trey Lance to get that third pick and get Trey Lance, that you got to play him. I get it. You got to play him because of what you gave up for him, because he was the third overall pick in the draft that year. But if the 49ers go to the Super Bowl, I know everyone's going to say it's not going to be because of Jimmy G. I know everyone's going to say, oh, well, the 49ers can do this with Jimmy G. Imagine if they can do it with Trey Lance. I get all that. And I wish Trey Lance nothing but the best. But I think we could have a serious conversation about what's happening with Jimmy G, because I don't know how the 49ers could move on from Jimmy G and potentially, without Jimmy G, take step backs and not be the dominant force in the NFC and the NFL that they were if Trey Lance is a starter. I think that's a serious discussion that we have to have at the end of the season.
Let me ask you this question then. So we believe that. So if the 49ers don't go to the Super Bowl, whose fault do you think it will be?
Everyone's going to put it on Jimmy G.
Okay, so that's exactly why the 49ers not going to resign Jimmy G. Because if they don't.
But if they don't go to the Super Bowl, that doesn't mean it's Jimmy G's fault, though. That's always been my position. It is very easy to put it on Jimmy G because, as I said all the time, Jimmy G is not. He doesn't have the best arm. He's not mobile. He doesn't do all these crazy flat. He's not like out here running over Aaron Donald. He's not like Pat Mahomes out here scrambling around in the pocket for like 15 seconds and then throwing a 50-yard bomb. He's not like Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray breaking ankles left and right, running for 60-yard touchdowns. He's not doing all this, but he's good at his job. And Jimmy G's job is to manage the game and make sure that the 49ers are in a position to win. And since he's been in San Francisco,
you know what, Jimmy?
Just that when he's healthy. And all I'm saying is,
I'm gonna tell you Jimmy G's biggest problem, man. It's not. And Jimmy G's a nice guy. We all love Jimmy G. But once again, like I said, I don't follow the analytics and all that bullshit stats. I'm gonna tell you his biggest problem. When you put the film on, Jimmy G makes 2 boneheaded mistakes every single game. 2, and it's all Jimmy G. It ain't the call. It ain't nothing. He's gonna throw just like when Tony Romo used to have this type of things. He's gonna make a Jimmy G moment. We don't know when it's gonna happen. You don't know, but we know it's gonna happen, and it's up to the team to either catch that interception or recover whatever the fumble or whatever. Jimmy G is good for that. You know it. I know. We've seen it. We have seen it for years. The question is the other team gonna catch that interception and take it to the house? That's the question.
Jimmy G does not take care of the football. You've never heard me say that. But Jimmy G wins football games. And all I'm saying is, but over this 4-year span, potentially, we're talking about the 49ers going to 3 NFC Championship games and possibly 2 Super Bowls.
You know why they lost to the Rams last year?
They lost to the Rams last year because they folded. I got it.
Because of Jimmy G. They will beat the Rams. No, Jimmy G.
But this is what I'm saying. In the last 4 years, they've made the playoffs 3 times. The one year they didn't make the playoffs was because of the COVID year. Everybody was either hurt or opted out of the season, so it didn't look that good. When Jimmy G plays football games in San Francisco, this team is a virtual lock for the NFC Championship. We're talking about a season, as we just said, that this season potentially could be the 3rd NFC Championship game for this team in 4 years.
Jimmy G throws the ball like 10 times in the playoff, bro. Come on, let us be real.
Fine. Okay, and that's fine.
That's not fine. Because
I watched Mac Jones last season in the game against Buffalo throw the ball 3 times and his team won.
That was regular season, buddy. That was regular season.
It doesn't matter how many times you throw the ball.
Yes, it does.
Is when he threw the ball those 3 times, he didn't turn it over, and the team won the game. All I'm saying is, if we get Trey Lance for the next 4 years, can you 49ers fans and the people in the 49ers front office, can you say for certain that with Trey Lance as quarterback for the next 4 years, we're getting a possibly 3 NFC Championship games and 2 Super Bowls out of the 49ers with Trey Lance as quarterback? No, you can't. I don't care how much film you watch, Guru. I don't care how much you hate analytics. I don't care if the sky cracks open tomorrow. In the next 4 years, we are not going to see we're not going to see the 49ers go to possibly 3 NFC Championship games and 2 Super Bowls with Trey Lance as the quarterback. We're not going to see it. Why would you sacrifice this prosperity that you have under Jimmy G, regardless of the mistakes that he makes? Why would you sacrifice that for a maybe in the shiny new toy? Why would you do that?
Because there's a difference, bro, in the mistakes. And when the mistake happened, like it's levels to it, man. It's Mac Jones threw the ball in regular. Who gives a damn about that? We talking about Super Bowls and playoffs here, right? Okay, that's what we're focusing on. So when your ultimate goal,
mistakes or no mistakes, Jimmy G 3 times or 2 times now, possibly 3 this season, has gotten this team to position to win a championship. Has he messed up? Yes. I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm not saying he hasn't made mistakes, but it's there.
See, there you go.
How do we Trey Lance isn't going to do the same thing? We don't know. Trey Lance could stink up the joint. Trey Lance could be trash.
But that's the beauty. Isn't that the beauty about it is? Because he could or he could not. But we know what Jimmy's going to like. We know what Jimmy's going to do.
We know Jimmy G gets this team in a position to compete for a championship come when it's time to. Mistakes or no mistakes, that's the fact of the matter.
Okay. So we're saying we know that, and we know Jimmy G also is the reason why the team don't go to the Super Bowl. We know that.
That's fine.
Okay, so then
fine and dandy. That's all fine and dandy.
It's like, why would I want to take that chance? So he went 1 for 4. The roster is built to.
The more weapons they have placed around Jimmy G, the less the ball has been in his hands, and the less those mistakes have occurred. That's a fact. You don't like the analytics, but if you look at these moments as the years have gone on, these crazy mistakes that we've seen have diminished. They still exist, but they
happened last year in the championship game. It didn't diminish. It happened last year against the Rams.
I said it's happened less than years past, and all I'm saying is you have a guy in Jimmy G that knows the offense. You have a guy in Jimmy G that went to the Tom Brady school of quarterback sneaks, and that's the best school to go to for it. You have a guy in Jimmy G that's been doing this for a long time. You have a guy in Jimmy G who in the last 22 years is one of the winningest quarterbacks in the last 22 years is Jimmy G. Say what you want about his mistakes. 4 guys have won more % of their games the last 20 years than Jimmy G. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. All 4 of those guys are MVPs, and 3 of them are champions. So that's great company to keep if you ask me.
There you go with the analytics again. There you go.
These are the facts. These are facts. I'm presenting them to you.
Happy.
Just because it's not in video form on an all 22 on your MacBook at 3 o'clock in the morning while you're grinding away doing what you do best doesn't mean that these are not facts to be considered. Jimmy G wins football games. The 49ers win 3 times as many games with Jimmy G as they do with.
And I'm not debating that. I am agreeing with you on that. But what I'm saying is,
which means statistically, it is 3 times more likely.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm not worried about the analytics.
That's fine. I'm just like,
you know what happened? You know what analytics can't tell you? You know what I can't tell you? All right, is they got 8 men on the Bucs right now, and there's no way they need freaking 5 yards. Kyle Shanahan designed an absolutely wonderful play design. Analytics can't tell you this, right? But all of a sudden, the guy's wide open. The only thing Jimmy G has to do is do what any quarterback would do. Is just make a simple dump over the safety, over the linebacker. And yeah, you know what Jimmy G does? You know what he does? He gets it pick, and you sitting down, you're like, oh my God, I have to throw this ball because, and just a side note, I love what the Eagles did because you saw how they got crushed by the Washington Snyders by getting the Dominican suit. Because the Eagles saw, oh shit, the same thing you just said. Oh, the 49ers could run right through us. They're the blah, 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 blah. You know what they got? They got one of the roughest individuals in the history of the NFL to make sure that shit don't happen again. That's what the Eagles just got. So in a situation like that, it's going to be Dominican suit. And guess what? 3rd and 7. You need this play right here. And I've seen Jimmy G done this before, even in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. I've seen it happen. You just need that crucial first down. And guess what happened? He didn't do it. And that's the reason why the 49ers has no Super Bowl in this last 4 years. Because
I have watched front and center the reigning back-to-back MVP make these same mistakes. I've watched Justin Herbert make these mistakes. I've watched Lamar make these mistakes. I've watched Dak make these mistakes. I've watched your favorite cousin Kirk make these mistakes. I've watched Pat Mahomes make these mistakes. And we're going to talk about him in a second. We've seen Josh Allen fall apart in the 4th quarter this season. So don't give me this long soapbox soliloquy about how Jimmy G doesn't show up when the moment matters because Josh Allen has more picks, has turned the ball over more times in the 4th quarter than anyone else in the NFL. He's got more red zone. He's got double the amount of red zone turnovers than anyone else in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, I had to sit last night and watch him miss wide open players left and right last night in Lambeau against Tennessee. I've seen Justin Herbert do it. I saw Joe Burrow do it in the Super Bowl last year. I've seen Matt Stafford do it. I've seen Tom Brady do it this season, and he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I've seen Drew Brees do it. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks come and go, and I've seen a lot of quarterbacks fall a little bit short when the moment's too big. What people have a problem with is they don't like that Jimmy G does it just a little bit more than all these great quarterbacks, and so now all of a sudden Jimmy G's not this, and Jimmy G's not that. Jimmy G needs to go. Jimmy G needs to do this. And all I'm saying is this football team with Jimmy G under center wins football game. And last time I checked, this is a sport about wins and losses. You make coaches keep their jobs based on wins and losses. Quarterbacks keep their jobs based on wins and losses. General managers keep their. The only person on the football team whose job is not affected by wins and losses is the owner. And that's because he does nothing but show his face, shake a couple hands, kiss a couple babies, and the Horse Lombardi Trophy comes Super Bowl Sunday. Coaches, players, coordinators, president of football operations, the athletic trainer, all these people's jobs are on the line based on wins and losses. Jimmy G wins football games more than pretty much anybody else in the NFL. And you're going to sit here and tell me that because he misses a couple plays here and there, makes a couple boneheaded decisions, now all of a sudden you're going to get rid of him in favor of Trey Lance. That's fine. Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time MVP. He's misplayed.
I'm not going to let you say that in it. I'm not going to let you.
MVP. It happens to the best of us.
You make it seem like I am anti-Jimmy G. I've never said I'm anti-Jimmy G. Don't even say that.
You are flowing with the masses.
I'm just saying. I get it. He wins. Yes, he wins. Okay.
Why are you trying to downplay it like winning isn't a big deal? Winning football games is the difference between a first-round bye and a wild card road game. Winning is the difference between hosting the NFC Championship game, something that the 49ers have done under Jimmy G, and going on the road to the NFC Championship game, something that my Packers have done way too many times in the
I don't remember them hosting the NFC Championship game.
They hosted the NFC Championship game in 2020 against my Packers, and they ran up and down the field. The year they went to the Super Bowl, they hosted the NFC Championship game. It was in the Bay.
2020, well, they were in Green Bay.
That's not the point. They hosted the game.
No, I mean host. I'm talking about home.
They ran home. That game in San Francisco against Green Bay. That game was at home in 2020.
Championship game?
Yes. Yes. That was
no, 2020 was Tom Brady's Super Bowl year, buddy.
The year before that, excuse me.
No, let's just
you know what I mean, man. They beat the Packers. It's like beat the Packers in that.
I'm just trying to make sure.
The year they went to,
I'm gonna fact check that. You know what? I'm gonna fact check that. I don't believe Jimmy G has held.
In 2019, when the San Francisco 49ers had 300 plus yards rushing and Aaron Rodgers threw 2 picks and the team looked terrible and Nick Bosa had himself a day and Jimmy G was looking good. That was in San Francisco. Yes.
Championship game. For some reason, I don't believe it was a championship game, man. Don't worry, man.
In 2019, San Fran versus the Green Bay. We got our butt spanked, handed to us on a silver platter out there in the Bay. All I'm saying is wins and losses matter in the NFL, and Jimmy G has won more than most quarterbacks have in the last 22 years, and that matters. And you're not going to keep sitting here and trying to toss Jimmy G onto the trash pile just because he don't have a big arm, just because he can't scramble for 35 yards when the play breaks down. You're going to stop disrespecting Jimmy G because great players, even the greatest of them all, Tom Brady, has made mental mistakes when the going gets tough.
All I'm saying is first of all, you're gonna make me sweet like I'm anti Jimmy G, whatever. I'm not saying that. I am not saying that. I'm just saying this. I'm a future thinker guy. You know what I'm saying? If I already know what a chocolate ice cream, hold up. If I know what a chocolate ice cream tastes like, oh yeah, chocolate ice cream, yeah, it's sweet. I know what to expect. And yet there's somebody come up with another flavor like, hey, man, check this flavor out. I'm going to be like, ooh, this might be something else. That's how the 49ers feel with Trey Lance. I'm like, ooh.
He was such a liability. Then the 49ers would win as many games without him as they do with him. And that is not how it works. So when G does not step on the football field, the 49ers lose football games.
So now my thing is because I just want to throw this out there before we move on. You know, you're just talking about, oh, I'm not so proud of Kirk Cousins. They paid him all this money. He's supposed to blah, 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 blah. Jimmy G got all these players around him, got the smartest genius coach around him. How come Jimmy G has not won a Super Bowl?
Listen, everything you said is true. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. And it's unfortunate for Jimmy G because a Super Bowl will shut people like you up that want him to go. It'll get y'all off his line, and he'll get the money he deserves, is what I'm saying.
Hey, and I'm telling you, if you only go to
wait for the day that Jimmy G wins a Super Bowl so I can come on your show and Justin's show, and everybody else's show, and talk all the trash I need to talk. Because I
put me in the anti-Jimmy G category. You want to throw me in there? I just said I love Jimmy G.
Because you think that just because he makes human errors at unfortunate times, that means that the 49ers should move on, and that's not true.
Hey, there's levels to making mistakes, brother. There's levels to it. Look, you know, put like this. I would hate for the president to make a blunder when somebody's bombing us right now. You know what I'm saying? I hate for that. There's levels to making mistakes. There's scenarios. There's clutch situation. And you and I both know you love Jimmy G. I like Jimmy G, but Jimmy G's not clutch. Could we say that?
Look, the good book says, in the eyes of the Lord, a sin is a sin, no matter how big and how small. And that's how I feel. A mistake.
Well, you know what? 7-11 and stealing from the bank, I don't care what it's still stealing. I guarantee you have a different sentence.
All I'm saying,
the law book said that.
You need to relax on Jimmy G. Let's move on to the Eagles, the team they're going to beat in the NFC Championship game probably come January.
Okay, so we're just going to throw my favorite cousin out the way like that. Okay.
Get rid of him. He ain't going nowhere. Anyway, the Philadelphia Eagles suffered their first loss to the Washington Commanders this past Monday, 32-21. It was a game where it was completely sloppy. There's obviously controversy about a face mask call that on a play that got Dallas Goedert injured. Obviously, it was the big blunder with Quez Watkins, and of course, he catches the deep ball. He doesn't get touched, tries to get up and fumbles the ball. The worst game Philly has played. What would be the biggest takeaway from this game against the Commanders moving forward now as the Eagles try to continue to get back on the right track?
There was no takeaway to me. Obviously, we're I-95 guys. This is an NFC East battle. Like, nothing really shocked me. It's a divisional game. And at the end of the day, I mean, the thing that baffled me, like, did people think the Eagles were going undefeated or something? Like, did they think they weren't going to lose a game? Like, every team have lost a game. It's a game. They lost a single damn game. It don't matter when they lose the game, This is the NFL, especially a division game. There's certain games that you kind of allowed to lose, and nobody really look at you funny. But because it's the Washington Snyders,
wait a minute. This coming from the same person that just said that wins and losses mean everything. They gonna sit here and tell me that those games are allowed to lose? What kind of agenda are you running here, Guru?
Come on, man. Wins and losses, but we know as long as you win more than you lose. There's just like in life. So you're trying to say everybody wins? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
You want to get political on me? Okay. I see.
You are in DC, ain't you? You are in DC.
Unless your name is Jimmy G. I got it. It's okay. I got it. I'm gonna let you finish.
We were talking about the big win. So, like we said, this is a regular season win. I didn't anticipate them losing or get dominant like the way they did. Yes. So I bet you if it would have been, like a closer ball game or something, if they would have lost because they missed a kick or something, that scenario, maybe people they would have felt differently about this game. But frankly, to me, I'm a historian of the NFC East, bro. I was not shocked at all. Actually, I did make a bet for the Washington Commanders, or I call them Washington Snyders, to actually cover that spread. So I was perfectly happy with that because it was an 11-point spread. I'm like, you guys, whoever made those spreads was kind of idiotic, because if you know the NFC East games, obviously I knew earlier in the season, because I lost that money too, when they actually beat, and it was a 13.5-point spread and they won by 14. I was mad because they covered that one against the Commanders. But I mean, it's a primetime game. And the thing about, if you know about Washington, and especially Taylor Heineke, if you've been paying attention, a lot of people don't pay attention to Washington Snyders, but he's one of the scrappiest type of quarterbacks, man. This dude never say die, and I just love the game plan. At the end of the day, I believe we definitely attacked them as far as running the ball, and that's what it was. It seemed like every time the first two downs, get a good run, and then also this 3rd and 1. And then Terry McLaurin did an amazing job as far as, getting open and beating Slay and getting into coverage situation, confusing the secondary for the Eagles. But I think there's all correctable mistakes the Eagles made. Obviously, we saw the turnover situation. You getting up. It was a lot of flukery that happened. So I don't really put the indictment as, oh, man, this team is in trouble. I think it's one of those situations, if you watch football long enough in this game and notice, like, in your lifetime, in my lifetime, we've never seen an undefeated team. So it was going to be a loss somewhere that's going to come. So you know it. I knew it. So at the end of the day, I don't think this is anything of a big deal. But the Eagles did another job, like I mentioned earlier, because they did address that was a weakness, how they did lose the game. And I was happy they went to get a guy like Ndamukong Suh to show off that rush defense, because they knew that was definitely a factor on how they lost. And they didn't, because it was a primetime game, they didn't want to give that film, that all-22 film, to a team like the 49ers or the Vikings, or teams that have a great rushing attack. So that's why I think the next 3 days later, they went and got a Ndamukong Suh. That really showed the intelligence of the Philadelphia Eagles, how they're future thinking, how they really, in my opinion, definitely going to beat Jimmy G, in the playoff, if Jimmy G make it that far, because Jimmy G is going to do Jimmy G shit in the playoff when that time comes.
It's not aggression in your voice there, Guru.
I was firm. It was firmness. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about a couple of things. Number one, I don't give a damn about Ndamukong Suh. Sound good. I don't care. Okay. Home to Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, and a guy that I don't think gets a lot of credit, Tony Pollard. These are 3 really good running backs.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know who the other guy is. That's bad credit. I don't like that. Boom. My phone didn't hear that.
Y'all gonna stop disrespecting Tony Pollard. He's been doing good things for me on my fantasy. Anyway, Christian McCaffrey, a top 5 running back in the NFL. Dalvin Cook, arguably top 5, but definitely top 10. Tony Pollard's a really good running back as well. You're not going to sit and potentially, if he can find himself again, Leonard Fournette, because he's a different beast in the playoffs. You are not going to sit here and tell me that it means nothing that the Washington Commanders, whose running backs are Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson Jr. No disrespect to either one of those gentlemen, but let's be serious. They are not Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, or Leonard Fournette. You're not, or Tony Pollard. You're not going to sit here and tell me that it is not concerning that the Philadelphia Eagles allowed 152 yards on the ground and held the ball for like 9 minutes. You're not going to tell me that's not concerning. There's one team in the history of football that we have seen win games when they have lost the time of possession battle this bad. That team is in Kansas City. Their quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Their head coach is Andy Reid, and they are one of the most explosive offenses the game has ever seen. That's the only team ever that we have seen win games when losing the time of possession battle this bad. They've got Jonathan Taylor this week. They have Tony Pollard again. They still have 2 games against Saquon Barkley, not to mention they could see the Giants in the playoffs if the Giants keep playing the way they've been playing. You are not Mr. Wins and Losses Matter going to sit here and give me this, some losses you're allowed to have because they're divisional games, and, no one's ever gone undefeated, so you're bound to lose a game, and, they went out there and they got Ndamukong Suh, and it's all going to be okay. You're not going to sit here and give me this old head, rugged, old-fashioned line of thinking, they didn't want the 49ers and the Vikings to get this kind of film. No! Dalvin Cook will get his. Christian McCaffrey will get his. If they see Saquon in the playoffs, he'll get his too. This is a concern. It's not a major concern because I don't think we'll see another team run 152 on them. But it's possible. I don't care who you add on that line. It is possible. Now, I also recognize that they didn't have Jordan Davis in the middle because he was hurt. I get all that. That's fine. I get it. I know, and he is their run stopper. I recognize that just as fine.
Okay, thank you.
Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, potentially Saquon Barkley, or Leonard Fournette. These are the running backs in the way of.
Like I said, I am Mr. Anti-lytics. So, because I talk to you, I come up with my own studies real quick.
Anti-lytic me all you want. 152 is bad. I don't care how you slice it. But
hey, I'm going to tell you this. When the Los Angeles Rams went to the Super Bowl with that so-called best defense, right? You know who was the anchor of that defense with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh? When the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to the defense, one that you can't even rush on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. You know who was one of the reasons that? Because of Ndamukong Suh. Now, we're talking about a Hall of Fame caliber guy that's been dominant against the run his whole life. We've seen him. And now, especially in the division you win, you saw what he's done to Green Bay as far as early in his career. Now, if you don't limit the addition of a man-child like that, I think is highly disrespectful.
I'm not limiting it. I am not limiting it. I'm saying he's old.
Oh my goodness.
No! So, he's old.
To be young, to be strong?
Guru, you know, just as well as I know, that back in your heyday, when you had hair and a hairline and you had a six-pack and all this other stuff, you know that you can do things back then that you cannot do now. You know this.
Dude.
Man, there are some things that go as you get older. You know this, Guru.
You ever heard of grown man strength? As you get older, you become stronger.
Look, I've also heard of crackhead strength. and all types of other strength. Here's the deal. Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, playoff Lenny potentially, and Saquon Barkley are more than capable of rushing for 152. Again, I do acknowledge they didn't have Jordan Davis, who has been their anchor in the middle all season. I understand that, and I'm not diminishing it. I'm just saying he's old. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying he's.
You know, he was old in Tampa Bay too. Now
Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. This season, he looked old. That's fine. That's fine. LeBron James, one of the greatest of all time, will very soon pass Kareem for the most points ever in a regular season. So far this season, he looked old. And nothing wrong with it. Michael Phelps retired because he was getting old. Usain Bolt retired because he was getting old. You're going to retire in a couple months because you're old. Like, it just happens. When you get old, things go. And
this guy's being so, like I mentioned, Ndamukong Suh. You know, the thing about being wise, he don't need to play every down. You know what I need him for? I need him for that 3rd and 3. When I know Kyle Shanahan don't trust Jimmy G because he got to run. When I know Kirk Cousins, they don't trust him. They're going to throw a run. This is what I need Ndamukong Suh for, man. See, your young generation don't know about strategicness. You know, you guys are on the TikTok generation. You want something 30-second on YouTube Shorts. That's what you want, quick. No. You know what I'm saying? Longevity. It's not about being old. No. Because the only thing I need him for is I need him for that strategic time. I need him for that one down situation. That's what I need him for. That's why I'm getting Ndamukong Suh. I'm not getting to get 5 sacks. I'm getting, especially for the guys you named, the Saquon Barkley, who I know the interior lineman is not very dominant in the New York Giants. You know what I'm saying? The Minnesota Vikings, the interior linemen, they're better than the outside. That's why you see a lot of Charles to Dalvin Cook. They, obviously they're not very good as far as interior linemen. Yes, I'm talking about those guys and Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette. We know they have a young guy playing center. So this is the reason why a guy like Ndamukong Suh will definitely be a great addition.
And when Christian McCaffrey pops him in his mouth in the NFC Championship game for 200, I want you to come back on this show and admit your wrongs and atone for your sins. That's all I'm saying. Now, let's go from one team in the NFC that took a bad loss to a team in the AFC that has now suffered their 3rd bad loss on the season. The Buffalo Bills, who we all kind of crowned as to be the best team in the NFL, the team we crowned to potentially pretty much make it to and win the Super Bowl this season, has struggled in fourth quarter of close football games this season. They still only have one game in the last 3 years with a win in one game possession, and that was earlier this year and when their comeback win against Baltimore. How bad have Buffalo's bad losses been this season?
Well, that's a good question because it looked like Josh Allen is being like a Jimmy G. He makes the mistakes at the wrong specific time. Well, he do win games, like you want to say. He does win games, but unfortunately, when you need it at the crucial situation, he kind of put what I call a Jimmy G moves. That's what he does. But look, I have it's regular season. Like I said, this is one thing about, us being football fanatics and stuff like this, and we go in depth about football and how football conversation is. The regular season is not like college, dog. We know the Bills are going to beat it in the postseason. We understand that. And I don't know about you, mister, you got to win every single game. Just like you said, every game from week 1 to week 21. You got to win every game. No, I don't believe that. And
I've never seen anything like that, actually.
No, Mr. Count every W's, and every time you take an L, the whole world is over.
And I'm not giving the Eagles a pass for getting their butts handed to them on a silver platter by the Washington Commanders. This team has no talent. I'm not giving them a pass.
We don't have no talent. The 5-5, I'm only going to talk about that.
Washington Commanders
has no talent.
Not have.
I think that's a homo disrespect because you despise the team at your own neighborhood. So I think that's some emotion.
Terry McLaurin.
A very superstar type of talent.
So let me modify. If it's not Terry McLaurin or Chase Young, this is a team that is bereft of viable talent.
I think they got the 2 interior linemen are very good, but I'm not going to talk about the Washington. This is about the Buffalo Bills right now. So I'm not even going to talk about that emotional outburst you just started right now. I'm not even going to talk about right there because when you speak emotional, you don't speak facts. So I'm not going to let that. I'd rather hear you talk analytics than emotional.
I will. As soon as you're done, we're going to get some analytics for you, buddy.
So I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills. I have no concern, to be honest with you. I think everything they work for, the whole team is a good team. It's a little bump on the road. In every life success, for everyone, you quoted the great book. There's always stories of perseverance. There's always stories of people going through situations to get better. And for you to get better in life or even in football, you have to go through a little bit of stumble. And the Buffalo Bills are going through stumble. This is part of the season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers went through when they won the Super Bowl. The Los Angeles Rams went through. Every team goes through stumbles. The Eagles went through it last week, but I'm not going to keep focusing on that. It just happens. This is when you do self scouting of yourself, and you like, you know what? I got to work on this a little bit before I go in the playoff. I got to work on this. I got to work on that. And for the Buffalo Bills, the main thing, just like the last couple of years, they got to work on being diversified as far as their running game. I think everything comes down to Josh Allen being a Superman. So at the end of the day, still got to be able to trust their running back and still give somebody else got to lead the team in rushing. Even if it's not yards, at least in attempts. Josh Allen can't lead the team in rush attempts, rushing yards, passing attempts, passing yards. Basically, it's like some high school football you see on Friday nights. You got that one quarterback that runs the ball, that passes the ball. Hell, if he could catch the ball, he go catch the ball too. They can't have that situation. They got to be a little bit more diversified as far as the offensive scheme. And I think that's the biggest issue with the Buffalo Bills, and I think they're going to address that. And you're going to see Josh Allen not running the ball as far as attempt-wise, just situational-wise, run it when you can. But I think that's the biggest issue for the Bills. That's their number one issue. Everything else, I think they're in good situation. They could score anytime. Obviously, you got Von Miller, and the defense is still very, very, very good. So, like I mentioned, it took a miracle. It seemed like every time the Bills lost, it's always a miracle. They don't get dominated like the way the Eagles did on Monday night. When the Buffalo Bills lose, it's either self-inflicted wound, which they caused by themselves, you know what I'm saying, or it's some miraculous situation that happened. And we saw that it was a miraculous situation with the catch by obviously JJ. And then obviously against the Miami Dolphins, we saw the miraculous situation. They didn't have enough time to spike the ball. So it was usually a bonehead situation that caused the Bills to lose. And the Bills basically do that to themselves rather than the opponent. So I have no problem with the Buffalo Bills as far as they're moving forward. I think their mistake is correctable.
I think I was just writing some things that you said. At the top of the show, we was talking about the Vikings. Didn't you say that you didn't think that the Vikings could sustain winning all these close games like this? You said that. That's on the tape. That's on the record.
I did not disagree. So don't come at me like I'm disagreeing. I did.
You said that. No, this isn't an agreement. These is your words. You brought this to the table. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Guru. How can we sit here and say that the Minnesota Vikings are unable to sustain winning so many close games, but we're going to turn a blind eye to the Buffalo Bills losing all of these close games because they're self-inflicted wounds, and it takes a miracle, and it takes this, it takes that? You sat here 10, 15 minutes ago and wanted to nail Jimmy G to the cross like he was the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ because of the mistakes he makes in clutch time situations. Well, I don't like analytics. Let's talk about some analytics.
Of course we are.
Zone turnovers than Josh Allen. He's got 6. No one has 5. No one has 4. The closest person, I believe, has 2. That's number 1. Okay. Who leads the league in interceptions, Mr. Guru? That would be Josh Allen.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, Lamar Jackson had one of the worst passer ratings, had one of the worst QBRs, had one of the worst completion percentages in the fourth quarter. You know who has one of the worst passer ratings, one of the worst completion percentage, and one of the worst QBRs in the NFL now, Mr. Guru?
Okay.
I think Josh Allen. So, if you're going to sit here, Guru, master of the film, and tell me that the Minnesota Vikings can't sustain winning close games like this, how can you then 35 minutes later on this same show in that same spot for all of the people on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and Twitch, and Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and all these places that this great podcast goes at the end of the day, how can you sit here and turn a blind eye to all these mistakes that you wanted to crucify Jimmy G for making? It's not making sense. I still think the Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams in football. I still think the Buffalo Bills come playoff time will be a team to be reckoned with. But you are not going to play both sides of the fence, Mr. Sir, and I will not allow you to.
And you know what? And I also said this before because I know you are the media.
Josh Allen has been gone.
Not all mistakes are created equal. Not all mistakes are created equal. I know you're the media and you think every crime is a crime. You know what I'm saying?
Red zone turnovers.
Okay.
That's a problem? That's a problem? He fumbled the ball twice on the goal line on Sunday. That's not a problem? What are we talking about right now?
All mistakes are created equal. Like I said, in a situation like for the Buffalo Bills, it's called overworking. You know, sometimes when your car breaks down, it could be, oh man, because the car's been running too long. I've been having this car for fucking 20 years. And then you have another car you just had 2 days ago. It's different type of mechanical issues. With the Buffalo Bills, it's not all the same. Josh Allen is overworked. Their mistake is because of Josh Allen being overworked, too much workload. Yes, if I get too much to do and I don't get no sleep at night, I might be making mistakes when I wake up in the morning. You know, it's a different type of mistakes. Now, you got like Jimmy G, he has 8 hours of sleep. You know, got breakfast in the morning, everything. He took a piss and everything, and he still make mistakes. Those are different situations. But I know you're Mr. Analytical, and the analytics says it don't matter how a mistake happens. What type of mistake is just a mistake. But no, when you look deep into it with that 22s,
so let me
22s, it shows it's different.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. 22. Say it's the Super Bowl. Balls on the 1 yard line.
So this is hypothetical.
I'm just asking a question. In the Super Bowl, because right now, because it's week 10, these mistakes don't matter. Is what you're telling me, because he's overworked.
Significant, yes. It's not.
Super Bowl Sunday, and Buffalo's on the 1 yard line, and Josh Allen fumbles the ball. Is it not going to matter then? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? If Josh Allen fumbles the ball on the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl, will it matter? Yes or no?
My question is this, Mr.
You're trying to get political with me.
No political. Obviously,
if Buffalo's in the Super Bowl and on the 1 yard line, and Josh Allen fumbles the ball, is that a critical mistake? Yes or no?
Objection. It is called a leading question.
That's no question. That's no question. Because by your logic, what you're telling me is that not all mistakes are created equal. And because this is week 10, this mistake doesn't matter. So what I'm asking you is, if it happens again, is it going to matter if it's Super Bowl Sunday?
My thing I want to object about this is different. See, let me tell you why. All right. It happened once, it's a mistake. It happened twice, now you have a problem. So how many times have you seen Josh Allen fumble the ball at the 1 yard line?
Allen turned the ball over 6 times in the red zone.
No, we're talking about fumble at the 1 yard line.
Twice this Sunday. He fumbled on his 1 yard line in his red zone. He fumbled on the other 1 yard line in the Vikings red zone. He did it twice. We had a 2-for-1 special on fumbles in the red zone by Josh Allen this past Sunday. What do you mean? He did it twice. But it doesn't matter because it's week 10. Here's the deal. Because you and I both know this because it fits the agenda. If it was Jimmy G that fumbles the ball twice on the goal line this past Sunday,
oh my goodness,
Jimmy G benched. That's all I'm saying. What we're not going to do, Mr. Guru, is be inconsistent. Josh Allen. Here's the thing. You're right. Every mistake isn't created equal. I agree with you. And this is how those words come back to bite you in the hiney. Josh Allen is universally acknowledged as a top 3, at the minimum, a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League today. He's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And a top 3 quarterback in the NFL leads the league in red zone turnovers, leads the league in interceptions, but not all mistakes are equal. So it doesn't matter if it was a random Sunday in November and maybe he had turkey on his mind because Thanksgiving is next Thursday. Hey, if Josh Allen fumbles the ball in the red zone on Thursday against the Lions in Detroit, is it not going to matter if it was Thanksgiving? If Josh Allen fumbles the ball in a couple weeks before playoff time on the goal line, it's not going to matter. It's not playoff time. What you're telling me is it only matters if Josh Allen is turning the ball over in the postseason. But if PG throws a 30-yard pick 6 on a random Monday in September, get this guy off the field right now and get Trey Lance out there.
This is analytics. Mr. Analytics. Last year, who was the Super Bowl champion? I think it was the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
Do you know who led the NFL in interception last year?
Matt Stafford did.
So is every mistake the same?
But you're the same guy last season that told me that this play, leading the leagues in picks, can't result in a championship. Somehow it did. Now,
I'm just telling you.
All of a sudden, Josh, I know what it is. I remember back to the last time you were on the show. You are anti-Buffalo. You were anti-Buffalo then. You're anti-Buffalo now. Josh Allen fumbles the ball, and all of a sudden it means nothing. But last season, and we can all go back and check the tape and check the film. Last season, as his interception number started to climb, you didn't have many nice things to say about Matthew Stafford last season, Mr. Guru. So don't try to pull the Matt Stafford leading the league in interception. You're going to take you a drink because you're guilty. Plead the fifth. You're not going to sit here and then try to pull the Matt Stafford led the league in picks card last season on me now. When
I will say one thing. You came correct on your show today, buddy. I don't know if you try to ambush me by, with all this stats you throwing at me. You know I'm anti-analytics and I'm allergic to all this stats.
That's fine. And that's fine.
And you came, I'll give it to you. You came out here a little bit prepared than the average normal people I go on the shows with, Mr. Analytical Marcus. And that was my disrespect, because when I went back and watched the film on our last episodes, when I put that film on and I was, breaking you down, and then all of a sudden with your man crush of Jimmy G, and then with your anti-Kirk Cousins, and you talking about being all over the place. You're like Obama right now, man. You loving everything. You flip-flop. You try to call me a flip-flop. I've been sticking to my guns, but I'm not going to let you put that rhetoric on me. What I am telling you is...
now it's rhetoric.
That narrative,
I listened to some episodes of Monday Morning Football from last season, and I pulled some clips of you crucifying Matt Stafford for turning the ball over. I don't want to.
I still crucify Matthew Stafford.
So okay, thank you. So Matt Stafford threw almost 20 picks last season, but he won a championship. But you crucified him.
Yeah.
I am holding Josh Allen accountable for leading the league in red zone touchdowns. And your response, or red zone turnovers, and your response is not all mistakes are equal. This ain't the 1960s.
See, there you go again. Now you trying to make this a macro situation. We're talking about a micro situation here. We're talking about what happened.
Macro. This is macro. You said Josh Allen has to be Superman. That's what you said.
No, that's the fault with the Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen has to be Superman. Yes?
That's the fault.
Okay, the Buffalo Bills don't function if Josh Allen isn't functioning.
That's the problem with the Buffalo Bills.
So what that means is, if Josh Allen isn't taking care of the football, guess who's not scoring points? The Buffalo Bills. So Jimmy G turns the ball over, and in opportune times, we want him gone, want him this, he's not that. Josh Allen, a universally acknowledged top 3 quarterback in this sport today, leads the leagues in picks and red zone turnovers, but it don't matter because it was a random Tuesday, or it was a random Sunday in November. Okay, Guru, just one more question, sir, and I'll leave you to do what you need to do. Just one more question, Your Honor. At what point are you going to stop moving the goalpost on what turnovers matter and what turnovers don't? Because what it sounds like to me is, because I haven't heard you say one bad thing about Aaron Rodgers, and he's had the worst career of his life as it pertains to keeping care of the football. But not all mistakes are equal. I haven't heard you say anything about Tom Brady, his opening stretch, how bad he looked, but not all mistakes equal. But you have no problem attacking good old Jimmy G out there in the Bay because he's not your guy, because you're not a Jimmy G guy. Josh Allen, I have the numbers right here. In the 3 losses this season, Josh Allen is 2-0 in Miami. No touchdowns and 2 picks against the Jets. He had 1 touchdown, 2 picks against the Minnesota Vikings. If this was any other quarterback in the National Football League today, we would want his head on a stick. But Guru says not so fast, because not all mistakes are equal. And all I'm saying to you is, sir, because you've mentioned that everything goes through him and all this and all that, because everything goes through him, that's what make these turnovers mean more. Because if Josh Allen's not functioning, the Bills aren't functioning. If the Bills aren't functioning, there is no Super Bowls in Buffalo, which is where they're at right now, without a Lombardi. 4 trips to the Super Bowl, none to show for it. And right now, they could be on pace to make it 0-5 if Josh Allen don't hold on to the football.
So let me get back, because I don't know where this Jimmy G, I don't know what Jimmy G have done to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what this man love with Jimmy G today. The episode should be titled The Jimmy G Love, because everything comes back to Jimmy G. I don't know what you would say.
In comparison, I'm taking your words and I'm trying to make sure that we're staying consistent.
Hey, like I said, sometimes when I read a book, it could be the same book you read, but we interpret things a little bit different. So yes, you could take my word literally and interpret it different. I get it. But like, I want to not talking about Jimmy G. because we were done with the first segment on Jimmy freaking G. But somehow you want to bring Jimmy G back. What are we talking about? We talking about concerns with the Buffalo Bills. So my question to you is getting back to real topic, not the best looking man in the world. Okay, let's talk about the real topic right here. Do you believe Josh Allen throwing those interceptions he did, which he did, yes, he did, yeah, fumbles, whatever. Do you believe when he did that in week number 10, it's going to have any bearing on how the Buffalo Bills finish, or is that going to stop the Buffalo Bills from going to the AFC Championship game?
The Buffalo Bills heading into week 10 were the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills outside of week 10 heading into week 11 are the 6th seed in the AFC. And they're 3rd in their division. They're a wild card team, Guru. They're behind the Dolphins and the New York Jets.
Don't be news channel. Hey, don't be channel 8 or channel 9 news right now. Okay, you make it seem like they're just one win away from climbing right back there, buddy. Don't act like they just fell from the ladder and they're 3 games off. They won Sunday away
from the 6th seed.
And by Monday, they could be back to what they're number 1 seed. Right?
Miami Dolphins, when Tua Tagovailoa starts from kickoff to the final whistle, is undefeated. The New York Jets hold a win over the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs are looking good. The Chargers are looking good. The Raiders are looking good. The Bengals are looking good.
The Chargers are what?
C is stacked. And you're not going to sit here and tell me that these 3 bad losses, 2 of which are against divisional opponents whom they currently trail in the standings. You're not going to sit here and tell me that it doesn't matter. Because let's say Buffalo wins out. Let's say Buffalo wins out. What if the Jets win out too? What if the Dolphins win out? Guess where Buffalo's going to be? They're not going to be hosting anything like they wanted to be, like we thought they would be at the beginning of the season. They will be on the road. In the postseason, in the Josh Allen era, is on the road. They
guarantee you this.
Playoff games on the road. They lost Deshaun Jackson Deshaun Watson the first time they went playoffs. They lost to the Chiefs the last 2 years on the road. This team has not won a playoff game outside of Buffalo in the Josh Allen era. You cannot convince me that if these trends continue as they are, and if we keep seeing these scenarios, because they have the Dolphins again, because they have the Jets again, because they have the Patriots, because I think they have the Chargers as well, as these trends continue, you're not going to sit here and tell me that the going gets tough and the tough man Josh Allen don't get going and these losses keep stacking up, that it's not going to become a concern come playoff time if Buffalo's road to the Super Bowl has to be road, when they have shown us time and time again that they can't get the job done on the road in January and in December. That's all I am saying. I agree with you. Don't let what I'm saying fool you. I think the Bills can and will make it to the AFC Championship game. I think the Bills can and will make it to the Super Bowl. I think if they get to I think they'll win it unless they see the 49ers in the Super Bowl. But what I'm saying,
let me guess, because Jimmy G is going to win the Super Bowl.
Because the 49ers are just that good and could pose some threats to the Bills. I think the Bills would win, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners beat the Bills. All I'm saying is, if Josh Allen struggles and his turnover problems continue in the fourth quarter and it results in losses, this 1-6 that seems so minute to you now, Mr. Wins and Losses, can turn into a much bigger thing. Because here's the thing, right? They might be 1 game behind first place, but they're 2 games behind first place in the division. And first place in the division right now is the Dolphins, and that's the 2nd seed. As it stands right now, the Bills' shot to a first-round bye this season is extremely bleak, and I don't think they're going to get it, which means they're going to play – they might play one of these games on the road.
And they're not going to get it because there's always that little sneaky-ass team even you don't want to talk about and nobody ever talk about. They call the Tennessee Titans. It's always just lurking everywhere, you know? So we know the Bills. We know that. But at the end of the day, do we really believe the Titans with Ryan Tannehill? At the end of the day, I don't care if it's what you just said, you're analytical. What happened when Josh Allen was a baby? He lost to Deshaun Watson.
That's not analytic. That is a fact. You pull up the game he lost
when he had a pacifier in his mouth. He was a baby then.
Okay, 2 seasons ago when the Chiefs made it to when the Chiefs and the Bills played each other in the AFC Championship game. Where was that game played, Guru? Where was that game? It was an Arrowhead.
And once again, like I said,
there was an. It was an
Buffalo. When they lose, how did they lose?
Which of those two teams, when the AFC Championship game was an Arrowhead 2 years ago, made it to the Super Bowl? When the Bills.
Marcus,
team last season had their heart broke in Arrowhead in overtime.
I remember when we first had this conversation, like I think it was week 5 or sometime around that, right? Mm-hmm. We both agreed the Chiefs are a better team. Like, I didn't pick the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not, they can't beat the Chiefs. Like, I didn't care about the Bills. Like, the Chiefs is still the best team in the AFC, regardless of everything.
But we're not talking about who's better, who's not. What you're trying to tell, what you are knocking on, as the Girl Scouts do, what you're knocking on my door and trying to sell is, what you're trying to sell to me is that these turnovers and these interceptions don't matter because you saw Matt Stafford win a championship last season, and because you saw this, and because you saw that, and because does it really matter if they lose it? Because the difference between first place and second place or sixth place right now is like 1 or 2 games. What I'm saying to you is that's all fine and dandy, but what you said was once is a mistake, twice is a coincidence, and 3 is a problem. 1, 2, 3. They have 3 losses. It's a problem. It needs to be fixed.
It's a problem now.
What you saying?
What's the problem? They're going to make the playoff? That's the problem?
The problem is Josh Allen, to use your words about 3G earlier today.
Please use your words.
Allen this season, when it matters most, has not been clutch.
So it didn't matter most in the 6 wins?
If this was any other quarterback, he would not be given so much benefit of the doubt. I've had to listen to Mike Greenberg and Stephen A. Smith and Marcus Spears and Ryan Clark and Dominique Foxworth and Nick Wright and Chris Broussard and Kevin Wilde and Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless and Emmanuel Acho and Shady McCoy and Joy Taylor and the man Dave on the show who's not I can't think, and all these great people who I think are fantastic and I love watching them. And listen to all of them talk about how bad Aaron Rodgers has played and how unclutch he's been. And listen to him talk about how unclutch Tom Brady was in the beginning of the season. And listen to all this week talk about how unclutch Dak Prescott is. And listen to pretty much the entire time he's been in San Francisco talk about how unclutch Jimmy G is. And listen to talk about how unclutch Kirk Cousins is. Now all of a sudden, Josh Allen's not clutch, and Mr. Clutch himself, Guru, wants to give Josh Allen a pass. We don't give passes on this show. There are no moral victories. There are no losses that are okay, and there are no passes. This is inexcusable for a top 3 quarterback in football to lead the league in turnovers, in the red zone, and in interceptions, and to be the reason why his team has lost 3 times. He's the reason. He is the reason.
So my question, I understand that. Once again, every loss is treated differently. Every turnover is treated different. But I know you're a finite kind of guy. You know, I know you're binary. That's all that matters. This is the reason why. This is it. Because Josh Allen threw
the reason in these 3 losses why they've lost the game. Let's be serious.
Okay, so let me just say, because it's the middle part of the season, all right? So now, do Josh Allen have enough games to rectify this situation? Yes or no?
I'm not saying he doesn't have enough games to
rectify. No. I'm just saying. So at the end of the season,
what? Can their record get better? Sure, the record can be better.
So the wins and losses now, Mr. Analytic, that matters about W and L. So if the record eventually get better.
What I'm saying to you, Guru, is these are 3 close games that they have lost because of Josh Allen.
So how many games did you expect? How many games did you expect the Bills to lose coming into this season, brother?
I expected the Bills to lose at most 3 games. They're not.
Okay, so right now they are where they how many losses?
Running the table, but it's not about you keep telling me that not all losses are the same. So let's talk about that. If not all losses are the same, then if your guy, your quarterback, is the reason why you're losing, we have to talk about that. They're not blowing out the Chiefs come playoff time. They're not blowing out the Dolphins come playoff time. They're not blowing out the Chargers come playoff time. They're not blowing out the Ravens come playoff time. They're not blowing out the Bengals come playoff time. So if they're not going to be blowing out these teams in the playoffs, if they're not going to be blowing out these teams, and it gets close,
what can you tell me the margin of victory or the margin of loss in those games he lost? What's the margin? I just on Mr. Analytical, because what's the margin? Because I believe they were all less than a field goal.
Give me 1 second. That's my point, Guru. That's my point. They're losing 1 possession games. They've won one possession game this season, and they only won it because they happen to play the team that's blown more double-digit leads this season than anybody, the Baltimore Ravens. They're 1-4 in one possession games. And in the 3 games they've lost, Josh Allen has thrown 4 touchdowns and 3 picks and he's had 2 additional turnovers in the red zone. They're not blowing out the Chiefs. They're not blowing out the Bengals. They're not blowing out the Ravens. They're not blowing out the Dolphins. They're not going to blow out the Chargers. They're going to be close games. And in close games this season, 3 of those close games that they've lost, their 3 losses have been close. Josh Allen hasn't played well. And you're going to sit here and tell me that it's okay because come playoff time we'll get it together? You're insane. You are insane. What's the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is seeing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting the same result. And what it sounds like to me, to you, Mr. Guru, is you believe that come playoff time and come December, the Bills will get it together and Josh Allen will get it together and he won't be turning the ball over when it matters most. And that is insane because what we have seen so far through 10 games of Buffalo Bill football, heading into 11 as they go face whoever they're about to face this week, I think it's the Browns, a tough run game and a pretty good defense with your guy, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who I think could have a pretty good game this week now that the game's out in Buffalo. All I'm saying to you is it is not that easy to just sit here and say, everything come playoff time will be fixed and Josh Allen will be trying to.
So comes next week when Josh Allen throws probably for 5 touchdowns or a combination of 5 scores and maybe 0 interception or anything of that nature and the excellent red zone.
That would equate to a blowout, so that doesn't matter to me. I don't care about blowouts. I care about games.
Oh, okay. So at his optimal best, you don't care about that. You care about his release.
That's what I'm saying. What you said is you're talking about being clutch. Yes? No one cares if you're clutch in a blowout. If you're up 50 and you hit a 3-pointer, it's not a dagger. The dagger happened halfway through the second quarter when you gained a 30-point lead. If you're up 3 scores in the NFL and you win by 5, you're not clutch. That team.
Were you going to have the same energy, this same rhetoric if Justin Jefferson didn't make an outstanding grab on 4th and 18? Would you have sat here and be like, Josh Allen caused all this turnover, but yet they still won, huh? Because it took a miracle, dude. It's like the dude that won the Powerball. He's never going to win the lottery ever again, bro.
Point. When you have the 3rd best quarterback in football, if we're being honest, Mr. Film Guy, if we go back and we watch the tape, if Josh Allen doesn't turn the ball over 2 times in the red zone, we're not going to overtime. Yes?
Okay.
Josh Allen doesn't turn the ball over 2 times in the red zone. This isn't a close game. We don't care about close games.
Is Josh Allen allowed to be a human at least one time?
Sure. I'm not saying he's not allowed to be human. Okay. But what I'm saying is you can't, like I said, you're trying to knock on my door like the Girl Scouts and sell me this belief that come playoff time is going to be fixed. And what I'm saying is I'm not buying that. I am not buying what you're selling about Josh Allen right now.
Well, you know what? Guess you might don't have to buy it. I go to the next door neighbor and they'll buy this shit. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Either way, this cookie's gonna be sold.
Let them. That's fine.
And your ass is gonna be sitting there, and your neighbor's gonna be like, "Hey, man, this is the bum ass cookie. You want some? Oh man, wish I would have bought it." It's all I want the same energy. I want this same energy when the Bills lose no more games for the regular season. I want this same energy when the Bills in the freaking AFC Championship game. I want this same energy when Jimmy G got lost in the first round of the damn playoff. I want this same damn energy, brother. I want this energy because this is all about Jimmy motherfucking G.
If Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are blowing teams out left and right, I don't care. Because we're not talking about that. What we are talking about is being clutch. Your clutchness doesn't come into question when you're beating teams by 28. Your clutchness comes into question when you're down 10 and your team needs a touchdown. You being clutch comes into question when you need a game tie or a game-winning field goal. Your clutch comes into question.
My question is
yard line in the 4th quarter and you fumble the ball. That is when your clutchness comes to question. And all I am saying is, so far this season, 3 times, Josh Allen has not been clutch. I don't care if he goes, if they run here's the thing, they run the table blowing teams out. I have nothing to say. He hasn't been put in a position. If he runs the table and they're all close games, I'll come back on this show every week with you on here and I'll give you my apologies. But that's because Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills in the last 3 years have won one score game. That was a couple weeks ago in Baltimore, and it took a Herculean effort, a miracle, if you will, to get it done. This team doesn't win close games, and that is a problem. And you told me yourself, Guru, that this team's inability to win close games is a problem. Now, all of a sudden that I put it on Josh Allen, it's not a problem, is what you're trying to sell me. I'm not buying that.
There's levels of problems. Like I said, it's your child scream at you, and then what's your child? Is it problem child? Or if your child get kicked out of school, you know what I'm saying? Yes, there's still is it a problem child? There's levels to this problem. It's correctable in my opinion, and you don't believe that, so I will subdue. You got this week.
I'm not saying it's not correctable. But what I am saying is it is a concern that we should have. It is. It's a valuable concern to have.
Hey, I get it. I have concerns, like I said, but I don't have the same level of concern. And there's nothing you're screaming could do to you're pointing to do and repeating every phrase I said and saying clever shit. There's none of that is going to do. I don't care how clever you are. I don't care how funny, how smooth, how all that shit is. It's not gonna change my mind. I'm talking about there's levels to mistakes, brother.
Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, since he's been the starting quarterback, have won one close football game. They've won one possession football game. That's a problem because they're not gonna blow out the Chiefs. They're not gonna blow out the Bengals. They're not going to blow out the Ravens. They're not going to blow out the Dolphins, and they're not going to blow out the Chargers. It's just not happening. And so what I'm saying is the mental fortitude and the toughness and the resolve and the clutchness of one Josh Allen, because he is their motor, and because as Allen goes, the team goes, has to come into question at some point because this team can't get the job done.
You know what? You are doing all the questioning, and I praise you for that. Yes, you don't like Mr. Josh Allen. Oh, right. I get it.
With Josh Allen, I have no issues with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's fantastic. He's a fantastic talent.
I beg to differ from all the sweating you have done, the pointing you have done, the repeated analytical data you brought out. Like, hey, look, you know what you did? You showed me a notepad. I mean, you went through the extraordinary to prove yes or no, right?
Because
you did stuff you've never done on this show before. You took a notepad and you circled and you put it in plain view of all my research I've done. Yes, we know you've done a beautiful research. Yes, we know you put beautiful numbers. You even used the nice, professional yellow page on a little tongue. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Well, just keep that same notepad now. Don't throw that paper away. Keep that same notepad because we will come back in a couple weeks and talk about that damn notepad, man.
That's fine. You're acting like I don't have the Bills going to the Super Bowl. You're acting like I don't have Josh Allen potentially winning MVP this season. He's out of the MVPs right now because of what we've seen. But I can sit here and criticize Josh Allen and be a fan. I'm a fan of Josh Allen. I like watch Allen playing football. I sat here with you a couple weeks ago and the roles were reversed, and I was sitting here telling you that the Bills are going to be one of the best teams in football and that they're going to beat the Chiefs. They did beat the Chiefs. I didn't hear from you. I couldn't find you. I put an APB out for you, and I just couldn't find Guru after the Bills beat the Chiefs. I don't know where you went. I sent you messages. I tried to call your phone. I sent you a DM.
Don't try to be TMZ and spreading innuendos. You know I'm always available. I'm always here.
For the show, you didn't. I said, "Hey, Guru, can you come on the show?" You said, "Oh no, I'm busy this week, bro. Maybe next time."
My God, you got the wrong. This guy.
Now all of a sudden, that I'm trying to hold Josh Allen accountable, and they want to try to flip the script as if you were 10 toes down on Josh Allen on along. I'm just saying the footage doesn't represent that, my guy. That's all I'm saying.
I see that. I see your intention, and you know what? You came out here with ulterior motives, but it's all right, man.
There's no ulterior motive. There's no
anti-Jimmy. I mean, it's an anti-J.A. and it's been the Jimmy G show. I get it. It's called Jimmy G Talk. All favorites of Jimmy G, and we don't care about Josh Allen because he makes the same mistake Jimmy G does, but nobody ever criticized Jimmy G Josh Allen like Jimmy G. Oh man, that's what I hear, just like the Cookie Monster. It's all right.
It's fine.
It's all right. You want
to sit here and tell me that not all mistakes are equal, but what you really mean is to certain players they can get away with and other players they can't. That's fine.
Dude, same thing. Hey, you a man, okay? If a pretty girl and an ugly girl do the same mistake, who the hell you gonna what? It's not the same. You gonna look at the pretty girl like, oh, you know what? You laugh that off. All right. And the ugly one, like, girl, what you doing? Why are you making dumbass mistake like that? It's just like, Josh Allen is a prettier quarterback than your damn Jimmy G, dog. It is what it is.
I have been raised right. Wouldn't catch me out in public with an ugly girl to even make a mistake.
So that means you don't make mistakes.
No, I'm not saying I don't make mistakes. I'm saying if I do make a mistake, there won't be an ugly girl on my side.
Well,
he's better than that. My senior and my OGs and my uncles and my aunts and my mama and my grand, they all raised me the right way. You don't be out here looking with no ugly, nappy-headed girls. I was raised.
See, look at this guy. See, that's why I love this guy. That's why I keep coming to this show, man, because this guy that's why he lives in DC, man, because he knows how to politic. He knows how to brush him up. I mean, he went to the book of Obama, man. You could throw anything up at him, dog. He would just brush that shit off, man. I'm telling you, this guy studied all that shit. But what I'm telling you is this guy is full of shit. You know, I love him to death, but he's still full of
man, You try to bring out the boxing gloves, and then when I bring the boxing gloves back out, now all of a sudden I'm full of it. That's fine.
No, just, you try to set me up from the whole talks. This guy didn't try to talk about Tua being an MVP or anything like that. From when I saw the board, when I saw the topic, I already knew, oh man, this guy's coming out for war today. He brought the towel out. I mean, he was here ready. And I'm just chilling, enjoying my nice little drink here because I'm thirsty. But this guy is coming here. I see he even got a haircut, man. Nice little shape up.
Today's payday. I get a haircut on payday.
Exactly. He got the nice haircut. And then he talked about my age, talking about me being old, talking about I mean, he was doing personal attacks. I mean, this guy just did it all today, man. He did it all. But I said, as the wiser gentleman, because we don't like to use the word older, as the wiser gentleman, I'm going to take it in strides because he's coming out here with a little bit of emotion. Well, let me say that, with a lot of emotion and a little bit of stats. You know, and those math, though I don't really like the equation of that. A lot of emotion, little stats equals, I don't like that, man. That is not equals, but it's still Marcus. You know, this is the GOAT talk. You know, he has a lot of stuff to talk about. Mr. All 22, anti-All 20. Hey, I get all of that today, man. You know, not once did he want to talk about, you know, the good things. You know, then he was dissing the Washington Commanders, like every nonsense. He was talking about Ndamukong Suh being a great addition. Like everything that came out of this guy's mouth today was definitely aggressive.
I did not say that he was not a good addition. I said he was old.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Old is good now, right? Oh, yeah. See how he just intelligent, how he just use words. The word play. He like an autistic, man. Just use wordplay. I did not say that, but I said this. Yeah, okay. That means the same thing in this book. It's the exact same. So, yeah, I get it today, man. You know, I thought I was going to come out here. We're going to talk about Tua, the Miami Dolphins, how good they're doing. But Josh Allen, he's from first to last. This guy's is so horrible. He made all this interception. They're never going to do anything. My God, brother, chill, man.
Back. He's in charge of protecting the football. What do we want? What do you want?
Hey, like I said, not all mistakes are the same mistake.
You get on Monday morning football every morning in your nice little corner with your backdrop. You got the shelf. You got the nice little Monday morning football sign, and you get the talk. You got the pen in your hand. And you get the sweating. You talk all this about how Jimmy G and Kirk Cousins and this and that and this and that. Now I want to bring the same energy to somebody that you like, and all of a sudden it's hands off. That's fine. Tell these lovely people at home where they can find your show so we can get out of here, because I don't like the inconsistency that I'm hearing right now from Google.
Hey, like I said, in life, sometimes in life you come in and you meet a guy that's ready for you. And I will admit today, this guy Marcus came here. and whoop my behind. I would take it like a man. Just like Josh Allen. I don't supposed to win every battle because I kicked his ass. I smoked him. The last time we were on this show, I straight up cooked him like freaking like we're all about to cook some turkey. I cooked this dude last week, man. Last time we played. I put some salt, pepper, some sweet potato pie. I just cooked his ass. But you know what today? Hey, because I was in a giving mood because Thanksgiving is coming up.
Giving mood.
Yes.
It's nonsense you're spewing right now.
I was in a giving mood. But you can find me as always, man, and everywhere, man. Google me, YouTube, all that bullshit, man. Just go Guru's Film Room, man. Like I'll pop up in all of that because there's only one Guru's motherfucking film room, man. And I appreciate y'all for always. Always, Mr. Bringing the notepad. We all know this is the first time in this show, in the history of this show, this man brought a freaking notepad. You know what I bring to this show? Let me tell you the difference. This is what I bring. See, I bring index cards.
That's my gangster. I've been doing this for 2 years. I got a notebook here. Got a couple things in it. Hold on, let me see.
Look. I bring in a index card. You know what I'm saying? Index card right here.
I got this. Had some stuff. He's going to, talk about Steph Curry, new face of the generation. We had the Michael Parsons show. Talk about people.
Man, I don't even want to hear your TikTok generation.
I don't know if I can see that. There's some old stuff here. Talking about KD.
This guy attacked my age, man. He attacked my hair. He called me bald. This guy straight attacked my everything. He has no holds barred today.
The show flow for the Tennessee.
Where was the notes when you attacked my age and attacked my loss of hair? Where was that notes at?
Here's all my stuff when I crucified Aaron Rodgers after the loss to the 49ers. I don't know if y'all can see that, but that's what that is right there. What else we got in here? Let's see. Oh, this was the free agency show I did for the NFL. That was a couple months ago. I ain't gonna sit here and try to make it seem like I just did this for you, guru.
I see the different color. I see the different color notebook you're using.
So I had this one. Then I got this green one. This gray one right here. Got some stuff in it too. And I got this.
No, so you got the angry notebook. That's what you pulled out on me. Those one right there, they were professional.
These are just full, brother. That's all it is. It's full. Hold on. I got one more too. This is the OG notebook. Hold on, I'm gonna grab it.
Let me see the OG notebook.
Hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me grab this. We're gonna get out of here. This the skinny notebook I had in the beginning. They got some stuff in here. It's locked. See, you got the little lock.
I forgot he was talking about when I used to have hairline because he had himself a fresh cut. Like the words that came out, the inflammatory words that came out of this man's mouth today.
Colin Kaepernick in here. We had that kind of conversation. That's other stuff. This was for the 100th episode. This is the first episode we went live. He had this stuff in here. We was talking about that. This was the episode I did with Steezy, episode 102. You can see that number right up in there. Episode 102. That was 100 episodes ago, actually, matter of fact. This episode I did with Guru, episode 104. Right after that, episode 105. Okay, I'm just thinking, I don't want here goes some more notes right here. I just don't want y'all to sit here and think and listen to Guru and believe this nonsense that this is the first time I done took some notes. Here we go. This was my chat about Jonathan Taylor, all his stats.
I never said you ain't take notes. I just said the aggressive notes you took today.
I took aggressive notes before. Look, this is the proof. This is when I used to take notes in pencil because I had to erase and stuff. I didn't take my notes in pencil this time. I took it in pen. This is when I crucified Baker Mayfield last season. Oh yeah, we got in here. Yeah, we in here. Yeah.
We got receipts, man. We got receipts.
Got all types of recipes in here. Look, this one got the date on it. December 1st, 2021. Yeah, that was last year. That was a year ago.
Man.
We just flowing. That's all. Things evolve. As I'm getting older, I got to be able to see my things a little bit more clearly, because I can see it big. That's all. Things change. You roll with the punches, man. Look, I'm gonna get out of here because we've been talking for 93 minutes, and in the past 10 have been about absolutely nothing. It's always a pleasure though to have Guru on the show, even though I spanked him today, and he won't admit it openly, but I did, and it's fine. He can come back for round 3 at some point. I'll spank him again. No ifs, ands.
All right. I will respectfully take that honor again to battle. Don't worry. Trust me. I don't back down. You know where I'm at every damn morning. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine.
At 3 a.m, which is when you wake up, that's when I'm going to bed.
I'll be there. I will be there, right outside the bank. I mean, outside the bank. Now, y'all know where to find me: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at GTP Marcus. You can also follow on this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Go Talk Marcus. You can search my name up on Facebook, Dwayne Marcus, or you can search GTP Marcus up on there as well, and you can find me. So, for the G to the U to the R to the U, for the Guru, this is Marcus, the Go Talk Marcus signing off. Thank you guys for watching. There will be no show next week, so you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll be back the week after Thanksgiving to talk about everything that's happened in the past 2 weeks. And as always, enjoy some turkey and enjoy the rest of your lives.